not layers, but an encompassing. When I say game, I'm not making just denigrating it. I mean, I think it's important, but a multilateral or a complex interaction where the international legal decision, if it came down on your side, I don't think the arbitration panel is going to accept jurisdiction, but if it does, and it comes down on your side, that's one part of the puzzle. Multilateral resolution among the other claims is another part of this puzzle. You can continue adding layers, until China finds itself isolated and defending what the rest of the world considers an absurd position. Now that could anger China. As the first questioner pointed out, China's response could be, well, I don't use the English for that, but you can imagine. China's got a choice to make. This was underlying my lecture. Are you going to be a status quo player, or do you have something else in mind? And if you've got something else in mind, then the world deserves to know what that something else is. The United States has in no way been a benevolent power. I would never make that argument. If you compare the United States with other hegemonies, it's been more benign than most. Now, certainly a lot of people don't feel this way, and certainly a lot of people would criticize that comment. But compare them to the Portuguese. Compare them to the Romans, for God's sakes. You go through the history, and I think you've got good, not good, a relatively neutral or benign hegemony. Trade that for something. You deserve to know what you're trading for. And as I said at the beginning of this conversation, you may say, I'll take my chances with the Chinese. And that would then argue for bandwagoning rather than balancing. But again, I see the South China Sea as a predictor of what the future may look like. And look, this is the Chinese. If you read Lee Kuan Yew's book by the two Harvard professors, fascinating book. You've probably all seen it. We're a large country. We're a small country. Get used to it. All right. Well, I think those are the same thing in the United States on occasion. So maybe that's just the way it will.
Can I just speak from here?
Please. Sure.
Yeah. What's the possibility or probability of drawing Japan closer into the South China Sea dispute? Because obviously, Japan is one power that the Chinese fear or respect. China has not won a war against Japan.
In another talk that I give that's a little bit more hawkish than this talk, that's exactly what I advocate. Not necessarily bringing Japan into the South China Sea, but rather enhancing Philippine cooperation with Japan, interoperability, coordination, such that, again, we build this multilateral framework, not just on rule of law, but also on security issues. It's important to learn how to work together. And so I think there is value there. And if the United States generates this level of fear in China, I don't know that Japan's any better, but Japan's certainly a smaller power and not nuclear. Maybe they can operate, they can coordinate actions the United States can't coordinate. There's the whole historical issue though. And, I don't even want to get into that. But that's clearly a complicated difficulty. Japan could make some domestic moves that could mitigate that issue. Stop wasting the trying for God's sakes. You can stay there.
I noticed a recurring theme in how China engages in diplomatic discourse it's always bilateral. It's always coming from a domineering point of view. Why? And I think it's a good question. Like trying to figure brains, like trying to understand the psychology of why China seems to always paint the diplomatic world, it's us versus them. It's always black versus white. And of course, there's the big elephant in the room. It's like whenever they engage with the Philippines, it's that they're not engaging with the Philippines. They're engaging, they're trying to portray it, they're engaging with the Americans, puppeteering the Filipinos in a way. I don't know if you agree or not with this, but I think it is a very interesting detail about how China engages with diplomacy in other nations. Seems to always it's us, you, no, right, everyone else, they're not part of this conversation. It's we need to talk about this. And in regards to that, just why they decided to do that, and what is it? What do they gain out of it? Is it because of the inexperience from dealing with other nations after that long period of their history in which they basically shut down the country during the Cold War, or is it because they just can't move past that Cold War mindset?
Are you in a PhD program yet? You need to get one. This is a fascinating dissertation. Again, I'm not a Chinese expert, I'm a security guy. But it strikes me that, on one hand, this is how all great powers act. They're no different from the United States or from Great Britain. They push people around because they can. And there's a corollary to that comment. This is only half the question, half the answer, but there's a corollary to that in that China is a young great power. So if you look at the United States as a young great power, as bad as it is now, you should have seen what it was like. World War I, World War II should have happened. Why did that happen? People blame the Europeans. The problem is the United States didn't step in. We were the hegemony where we sat around like little kids and took our ball and went home because people would play 45 years. That's not what a great power does. So I think it's some of the same thing with China. You've got a teenager. Remember when you were a teenager? If you're anything like me as a